The rain had just ended in the old town of Jeongju, leaving the narrow stone streets shimmering beneath the pale glow of the moon. Water trickled down curved roof tiles, gathering into rivulets that whispered as they flowed toward the drains. The air was heavy with the fragrance of wet earth, damp wood, and distant pine trees swaying in the night breeze. Travelers had already sought warmth in taverns or hidden beneath their quilts, but one figure still walked, Minho, a young scholar from Hanyang, carrying only a satchel filled with worn books. He had been on the road for weeks, searching for forgotten libraries and ruins that might hold traces of old knowledge. As he wandered deeper into the quiet lanes, he heard something unusual, the faint, trembling notes of a geogeum. The music floated above the garden walls of a honok so old it seemed part of the earth itself. The melody was haunting, neither cheerful nor mournful, but carrying the weight of memories unspoken. Minho stopped, his breath misted in the cold air. He felt as if the strings pulled not just sound, but something hidden within him. Suddenly, the wooden gate creaked open. A dim lantern glow spilled out, painting the wet stones in gold. From the shadows, a voice emerged, soft as the mist, greater than Haijin. "Traveler, why do you linger by a stranger's gate? Minho, forgive me. I was drawn by your song. It seemed alive." From the threshold stepped Haijin, a woman clad in a simple white hanbok, her long hair darkened by rain. Her eyes held a strange depth, as if they had seen lifetimes. She regarded him in silence, then gestured with a delicate hand. "Haijin, if you wish to listen, come within. But you must not speak of what you see." Minho hesitated. The garden beyond seemed unnaturally still, yet curiosity pulled him forward. Inside, he found a place unlike any other. Old trees bent into strange shapes, their blossoms glowing faintly with a silver hue. A pond reflected the moon, but its ripples moved without wind, as though touched by unseen fingers. The air shimmered faintly, filled with something heavier than mist, memory itself. Haijin led him to a pavilion, where a geogeum rested across polished wood. Its strings glistened with droplets, catching the moonlight. She knelt, her hands trembling as she brushed the surface. "Haijin, this house was once filled with voices, laughter, and footsteps. Now, only echoes remain. Minho, and you live here alone." Haijin smiling faintly, alone, yet never alone. She placed her fingers on the strings. The first note rang out like a raindrop on stone. Slowly, the music grew, weaving itself into the night air. As Minho listened, the garden shifted. He saw visions, children chasing each other under the blossoms, women hanging bright cloth to dry, an old man sipping tea by the pond. Then, the scene darkened, fire, shouts, shadows tearing through the home, laughter replaced by screams. The geogeum wept as Haijin's fingers trembled. Minho clutched his chest, the visions faded, leaving only silence. Minho voice shaking, "What I saw, it was not dream, was it?" Haijin softly, "It was memory. The garden remembers more faithfully than I." Her face grew pale, her outline almost transparent in the lantern glow. "Minho, then you tar, Haijin, not alive, not as you are. I am bound here, as they are bound." Wind swept suddenly through the garden. Petals scattered across the pavilion, swirling like spirits. The lantern flickered, and the pond rippled with force. Haijin whispering, "When the blossoms fall completely, so too will I. Minho, there must be a way to free you." Hyjin shaking her head. No, a soul tired by grief cannot leave. Only remembered, she played one final chord. The note stretched into silence, and her form dissolved into drifting petals, vanishing into the night. Only the Gaijium remained, strings vibrating faintly as though her hands still lingered. Minho sat alone, listening to the silence heavy with sorrow. At dawn, he left the Honak, but he carried the sound of her music in his chest, and long after, when the wind swept through Jeongju, people said they could still hear faint Gaijium strings echoing through the night. They whispered, "The silent garden never forgets." The road to Ondong was silent that night. Seojin's sandals pressed softly against the dirt path, his breath heavy from days of wandering. The air smelled of wet earth and pine, and the only light came from the trembling flame of his travel lamp. The river accompanied him, flowing beside the path like a restless companion. Its surface glimmered with broken reflections of the moon, but in the darker stretches, it looked more like liquid shadow than water. Seojin had heard rumors in roadside taverns. There is a river where the dead still speak. If you follow its banks on the night of the lanterns, you may hear their voices. He had not believed it, not fully, but grief can drive a man into believing even the impossible. His brother, Jinwoo, had fallen in the war months ago. Seojin never saw him buried, never whispered a farewell. That silence gnawed at him like hunger. The first silence, as Seojin reached a bend, the world grew unnaturally still. The crickets stopped chirping. The wind seemed to hold its breath. His lamp flickered wildly, and then steadied again, though no gust touched it. Then he saw them, lanterns, dozens, perhaps hundreds, floating gently upon the river. Each one carried a small flame, bobbing softly with the current. They stretched far into the mist, like a path of stars laid upon the water. Seojin's mouth went dry. Who placed them here? He whispered, though no one answered. The river carried the lanterns past him with deliberate grace, as if guiding him onward. The voice in the mist. From across the shifting fog came a sound, faint, melodic, and unmistakably human. Voice gentle, echoing, "Traveler, do you seek someone?" Seojin's heart hammered in his chest. He turned toward the sound. On the opposite bank stood a woman in a pale blue hanbok. Her sleeves drifted slightly as though underwater, though no breeze touched her. A jade ornament pinned her long hair, and it caught the moonlight in a way too bright, too perfect, almost unreal. Seojin shaken. "Who are you?" Woman smiling faintly. "A guide." "Nothing more. Tell me, who do you wish to see?" Seojin voice trembling. "My brother. He died far from home. I could not be with him." The woman tilted her head, her expression both kind and unreadable. "Greater than woman. Then follow the lanterns. They carry words the living cannot speak." The test of the river. Seojin stepped to the bank, but the river surged dark and strong, louder now, as though aware of him. The lanterns floated effortlessly upon it, untouched by the current's fury. Yet even a single step into that water felt impossible. Seojin calling out, "How can I follow, when I cannot cross?" Woman voice soft, yet firm, "You do not need to cross. The river remembers more than men do." Her hands lowered gracefully, and she released a single lantern onto the current. Unlike the others, this one glowed brighter, golden light spilling across the dark water. The flame pulsed softly, in rhythm with Seojin's heartbeat. As it drifted closer to his side of the river, warmth pressed against his chest. Then he heard it, a laugh, a familiar laugh. Jinwoo's voice faint, carried by water. You always walk slower than me, Seojin. Even now, you lag behind. Seojin's knees weakened. Tears blurred his vision. Seojin choking. Brother, is it truly you? Jinwoo's voice. You scolded me for leaving too early that morning. You never knew. It was my way of protecting you. I went so you could stay. The current roared louder, almost angry, almost alive, but the lantern held steady, its flame burning strong. Seojin fell to his knees on the wet grass, greater than Seojin, weeping, Forgive me. Forgive me for not being there. I should have. The lantern flared once, and the voice grew clearer, warmer. Jinwoo's voice. No forgiveness needed, brother. Only remembrance. Live, so my name does not vanish. And then the flame dimmed. Slowly, gently, the lantern drifted onward, swallowed by mist and distance. The empty bank. Seojin lifted his head, eyes burning with grief and wonder. The woman across the river was gone. Only the faint shimmer of her jade ornament glinted in the grass on his side of the bank. Though he had never seen her step across, he picked it up. It was cold, heavier than it should have been, real, solid. When he looked back to the river, the lanterns were fading, one by one, until the water reflected only the moon. The silence returned, broken only by the rustling of trees as the wind finally breathed again. The whisper of the river. Seojin turned to leave, clutching the jade ornament. His lamp had burned out completely, yet somehow he could still see the path before him. As he walked, the river behind him spoke in a low, endless murmur, like a voice carried by eternity itself. The current carries all farewells, but only the living can carry memory. And Seojin knew, though the night was heavy with sorrow, that his journey had given him what he sought, not an end, but a way to continue.